I have to say that it has taken me a while to ponder over this and finally decide to make this video to share my experience. Moving to the Netherlands wasn't a quick decision, and it definitely hasn't been a smooth ride, I have to say. From late 2022, we started toying with the idea of moving to the Netherlands, and we started with researching visas to surviving the Dutch housing crisis, which I was warned about, and adjusting to the idea of starting over. And I would say that my first 6 months have been full of surprises. And today, I'm sharing everything that I've learned so far. The highs, the lows, and the things that you need to know if you're planning or even considering this country. And I have to say before I begin that I'll be diving more extensively into the housing bits of the relocation because for me, that was our biggest challenge. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Kwame, so let's get into it. Everyone has their reason for wanting to relocate, to join family, school, work, better economic prospects, or even culture, and so on. And ours had some layers to it. My partner and I had this agreement that we would explore the different countries that we're both from, living at one place for a period of time, which is Ghana first, and the other place for the next, now the Netherlands. So it's kind of like a balanced thing. Underneath this agreement was the underlying experiences. If we thought that the change wasn't necessary, we wouldn't move. Or if the change was necessary, then we have to start planning and get into it. And for my part, I needed a change of scenery or environment to explore my career as a filmmaker. And I thought that the creative scene in Ghana wasn't giving me what I wanted at the rate and speed with which I wanted it. My partner, on the other hand, works in the corporate space and she's an awesome and experienced business developer. So I guess for her, it would be to consider whether or not she had learned enough or achieved enough in the space that she was in, and how difficult it would be to find new opportunities elsewhere. So we debated, went back and forth a few months, and decided to go for it. We started by doing extensive research, and by extensive, I mean researching everything. The visas, work permits, residency requirements, daycare options for our son, insurance, and of course, the almighty financial load all these things would require from us. The Netherlands offers several options for people who want to relocate. There's the highly sought after, highly skilled migrant visa, school or student visa, family reunification, which was what our immigration needs fell under. And I would say that whatever your reason or route, you can never ask too many questions. Even for us who were not necessarily new to going to the Netherlands, which is something we do or we had been doing back and forth for a few times, a permanent move means something completely different. And after all our research and preparations, we ended up investing in the services of an immigration lawyer through the recommendation of a friend. And this guy was kind enough to explain to us the options available to us and which route meant what, how difficult it would be. So if you can afford it, consider the immigration lawyer approach. For us as a family, it was best to join my partner, who is a Dutch citizen in the Netherlands. All these options have adequate information on the IND website, and you should definitely make that your first port of call with regards to moving. You can find out every information you need. You may actually even not need an immigration lawyer if you can follow the steps yourself. We also considered the cost of living, housing markets, healthcare, whether Netherlands would be a good fit culturally as a mixed cultural family. We knew that preparation was the key to avoiding surprises, even though I can almost guarantee you that when it comes to relocation and a place like Netherlands, there will always be surprises. Now let's get to landing in the Netherlands. This was both exciting and overwhelming at the same time. One thing I did not expect was how much paperwork would be involved in just starting your life here. You need to register with the local gemeente or municipality to get your BSN. Now, this number is essential for everything. It's like your Dutch social security number, from signing your lease to paying your taxes. Without it, you're essentially invisible in the Dutch system. But in order to get your BSN, you need a permanent address, which brings me to the next topic of the housing crisis. Now, here is where it gets tricky. The housing market in the Netherlands is brutal. And if you're coming from Ghana or maybe a place where the process of getting a home, although not a walk in the park necessarily, but it's as easy as when you find a place you like, the landlord doesn't need to profile you or assess your long-term financial match and other things you have, or other list of things you have to tick on the boxes to look good as a potential renter. In the Netherlands, this process goes through the so-called housing corporations or websites corporations. And there are a few big ones that offer housing based on how long you've even been subscribed or how lucky you are, like an actual lottery. This means that filling many forms for every house that you are interested in, from income to family structure to the job of your partner, they want full transparency, and the more, the merrier. And because my wife had worked in Ghana for over 5 years, in the Dutch system, it didn't reflect. She had a huge gap in her career. Employers abroad were not registered, so that didn't look good already. Aside that, I didn't have a BSN yet, as we didn't have a permanent address. You see the irony? So technically, I didn't exist in the Dutch system. And all this made us look unattractive to the housing cooperatives. Now, the story is, even though my wife had recently started a job in the Netherlands when we arrived, you have to share at least 3 payslips, giving us another delay of 3 months because she just started work. Aside that, the competition is insane. In the Netherlands, you're going to jump through all these hoops while vying for this particular housing thing with over 500 people. As at 2023, I think, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Amsterdam was around 1,500 to 1,800 euros per month. But if you're lucky and you don't mind it, finding something cheaper in smaller cities, it's much easier. That's if you even find it. So what we did was we told a lot of our close community here and everyone who had a lead. And in the end, it came from that, a recommendation, which eliminated having to go through the system because left with that alone, we did not look good on paper. Now, a key lesson here is be realistic, be flexible, and be patient because you might end up in a less than ideal location or situation. And it's just part of the process. Cost of living in the Netherlands is on the higher side, in my opinion. And I'm not even doing that based on where I come from and doing those exchange conversions. No, just the sheer percentage of the cost of living versus your earnings, which housing will probably be your biggest expense. There are other costs to factor in like groceries, transportation, healthcare, and utilities. On average, I'd say you need to earn around 2,500 to 3,000 euros a month to live comfortably. Though also, I would say it depends on your lifestyle. Us as a family of 3, and before we settled in properly, arranging all the necessary documents and registrations, rent and daycare costs took the heaviest chunks out of our finances, even though we were adequately prepared with a buffer of savings before moving. Daycare prices are insane. If you want your child to attend daycare for the whole week, then you're looking up to 2,000 and upwards per month. And that 2,000 is even on the affordable side. So for starters, we did 2 days a week with a cost of 1,100 euros per month. But the good thing is, for tax-paying or working Dutch citizens, there are perks, which are subsidies from the government to help ease this burden. But without the necessary documentation like your BSN, your permanent address, and having work to do, these things become inaccessible to you and you have to be paying all that I just mentioned from your pocket. Groceries, well, groceries can be manageable if you stick to budget stores like Lidl, Natorama, Aldi, and so on. Eating out is something we've learned to do less and less of because it's not cheap. Going to eat in the city center will set you back around 15 to 25 euros per person. Transport in the Netherlands, well, there's cycling. So buying a bike will be one of the best investments you ever make. And unless you have a big budget, I would say also before you buy anything, look on Marktplaats for secondhand. But if you're taking public transport especially, then your monthly cost can be around 100 to 120 euros per person, depending on how often you have to do intercity commute. And then there's the bit also on insurance, your utilities, and other expenses. If you previously didn't keep an eye on your spending wherever you lived before moving to the Netherlands, then you will be forced to do that or learn that in the Netherlands. On the side of culture shock, I would say by virtue of the fact that we've been coming here since 2017, most of the surface or common ones did not hit me as much because I was mostly aware of them. However, as they say, don't confuse tourism with immigration. And so with that said, living fully comes with a few things that you notice on a deeper level. One of them is if you're coming to the Netherlands alone, you may have to consider the possibility of the difficulty in finding a real community or connections with people. And there are some reasons to that. Breaking into the Dutch friendship bubble can be quite the challenge. Dutch friendship comfort and loyalty is built from childhood most of the time, and friends often grow up together, sharing the kind of bond that doesn't make a lot of room for new friendships, especially with foreigners, because there's that aspect of the language and cultural adaptation as well. Another reason is the culture of efficiency may also have a part to play in this. They are so structured in their ways that it's not very flexible. So if you're looking at from work to making time to being with your friends, adding new commitments becomes a daunting chore for them. Most people speak English, yes, but it's always easier to make conversation in the language you're most comfortable in. I knew a couple of people before moving here. People I knew from Ghana. They live in different cities, and you would think that, hey, it's exciting, you're going to see each other often, and no. Time really flies when you have that strong, structured routine. Before you know it, a few months have passed. On the other culture shock was the discovery of an elaborate integration program. I don't know if other European countries do this, but I was pleasantly surprised by it. One has to follow a well-curated integration program and plan, customized to your education level and schedules, spread across 3 years, which has written exam and other elements like communal participation and so on. At the end of all of this, you have to be fully certified to have completed or to be considered fully integrated. 6 months in, and I'm beginning to understand better when I was told that settling in realistically takes about 2 years. And I would say this, that everyone's experience will be different, of course, but there are certain aspects like, finding a home and arranging your documents that almost everyone will face. Now, while I'm extremely proud and feel very lucky to be in this position at the moment, there's so much to navigate at the beginning of your stay that a year goes by so fast without you realizing it. Then, before you know it, you're using another year to now learn to move from survival or that primal state to beginning to imagine how to thrive. If you're considering moving here or you're just curious about what it's really like, well, I hope you found something useful or some useful insights in this particular video. My name is Kwame, and don't forget to subscribe and like and comment. Share your experiences with me in the comment section, and I'll catch you in the next episode.